Hi, everyone. I'm Gary. I'm back joining Judy for another live stream. We're going to talk about Sarah Yousuf's deposition, which occurred on August 23rd, 2024. Sarah Yousuf was a former friend of Wendi Adelson's who, as events unfolded in the case, concluded that the family was involved, including Wendi, and she ended the friendship in 2017. And after Charlie's trial, and Phil Markel's impact statement, she was kind of moved by that, and she wanted to assist the Markels in any way she can, so she could. So she came forward with some information about Donna and told the story of the evolution of the friendship with Wendi and how she came to believe over time that the whole family was involved and how she ended the friendship and so forth. So it's all explained in the deposition, and it's very interesting to hear a viewpoint from somebody who had a ringside seat and whose views evolved over time. So I guess without further ado, we can start. I'm going to do the parts of the lawyers, and Judy will do Sarah Yusuf's part.
Yes, thank you. And thanks
Okay.
to Deep Dive True Crime, who provided the transcript so we can read it today. So
Okay. So
thank you, Gary.
You're welcome. We don't need to read the part about the court reporter and all that. We
No,
can start.
nah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll start right in with Mr. Morris's first question. Can you please state your first and last name, spelling both of them?
Sure. First name is Sarah, S-A-R-A. My last name is Yousuf, Y-O-U-S as in Sam, U as in Uncle, F as in Frank, Yousuf.
Okay, and the date of birth is redacted. So
Blank.
what's a good mailing address for you?
I'd like to be care of the state.
Okay, fair enough. Any communication then with you through them?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem. As I understand it, you live in San Francisco, though?
I'm in a town about 15 minutes north of Berkeley, so 35 minutes to San Francisco.
Okay, and I guess what do you do for a living?
I work in strategic communications, but I'm a licensed attorney and I practiced law for many years.
Okay, and when you say strategic communications, translate that for me.
Sure. So I work for a small firm. There are four of us, and we do things. It's called the Justice Research Group. We're launching another firm called Resonance. And we do things like message testing, polling, creating original media content, that sort of thing.
Okay, and then you mentioned that you practiced law for many years. Tell me about that.
I served as an assistant public defender in Miami for 13 years.
Okay, straight out of law school to the PD's office or no?
Yes.
Okay, and so therefore, first 13 years of your career, and then tell me, did you jump to justice research?
No, I joined a nonprofit organization called the Justice Collaborative, which ran a media product called The Appeal as well. So there are kind of two organizations operating in parallel. I worked for both of them.
Okay, and then transition to present position, or am I missing some things?
No, from there, I took a kind of longer maternity leave. I took about 6 months after the appeal. And then I worked at the San Francisco District Attorney's Office for about 5 or 6 months. And then I transitioned to the Justice Research Group.
Working at the San Fran DA's office must have been interesting. I mean, in the present world and environment, I guess. I don't know.
Wasn't the right fit for me.
Fair. You've been named as a material witness in a case involving the state of Florida and Donna Adelson. Do you know Ms. Adelson?
I do.
And how do you know Miss Adelson?
She's the mother of a former close friend of mine.
Okay, and I guess give me a natural starting point. How is it that you know the Adelson family?
Sure. So when I was in law school in my second year, I had a friend named Ben Pransell. Ben Pransell is somebody I knew from community organizing work, and he was friends with Wendi Adelson from Brandeis. And when, during my 2L year, Wendi joined the University of Miami as a 1L, and Ben sort of set us up by email on a friend date. And we met through him, and we became friends very quickly, Wendi and I. So this would have been 2004, I think, or thereabouts.
She's a 2L?
2003 or 2004, something like that.
So you're a 2L, she's a 1L, roughly '04. You became quick friends.
That's right.
Okay, and then?
Maybe it was '03. I think anyway, right around there.
Did you maintain that friendship, or I mean, tell me the depth or the scope of the friendship, I guess.
Sure. So we were very close friends. I was at for 13 years. So 2000 and say, I think it is 3 through 2017, I consider us very close friends. I was at her wedding. She was at my first wedding. We lived in the same apartment complex. We saw each other when she was in Miami because she did move to Tallahassee and had a summer, you know, was away quite a bit during the summer in different places. But she and I think I was thanked in her book, if I remember correctly. We, met up one time when in Montreal, like we we saw each other quite a bit. I'd been to her place in Tallahassee many times. She had stayed the night at one of my places in Miami once she had moved to Tallahassee a couple of times. I would consider us close friends. And I had been to Thanksgiving at the Adelson's residence on a few occasions and been to their residence for different holidays and events. And I had been to Charlie Adelson's residence on Will Harbor on 2 or 3 occasions.
Okay. So I guess then let me fast forward all the way to the end, and then we'll plug in what's in between. So why are you not friends, and or why are you a witness in this case?
I'm not friends with Wendi because I ended the friendship by email in 2017 for a few reasons. The primary reason was that her situation was bringing a lot of chaos into her life and my life because I was close friends with her, and the stress of her situation was becoming something that I absorbed. Sure. Are you
Yeah,
there?
sure. Yeah, I
Okay.
said sure.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. And part
Okay.
of that was not through her fault at all. Just a lot of media attention and a lot of instability was happening. And I was at a point in my life where things were difficult. I had just gone through a separation. So I was finding that that was a lot for me to take on. I also disapproved of the way I believed that she was protecting her family that she knew was involved in the case. I also didn't approve of some of the choices she was making. Like, I felt like she was being misleading to a lot of the people she was dating and making guys feel like they were the only one when they weren't. And I, those are the primary reasons. I mean, if you're asking the reasons why and it was a very hard thing for me to do. I sent her an email and said, I need space from this friendship. And at the time, I needed space. And once I had the space, I didn't want to be friends with her anymore.
Okay. The misleading guys into thinking that they were the only ones. So, I mean, am I characterizing it correctly that you're observing someone, a friend who's in the dating world, and you may not be in the same circle of people or whatnot, or you may be in the same circle of people or whatnot, and as a result, if she's playing both sides of the fence, so to speak, and she's not being honest with any of them, eventually that comes back to you because you're in the same circle of people. Am I saying all of that right?
Right. I didn't want to have to cover.
Yeah, I got you. That you disapproved of her acceptance of family or acceptance of family that she knew was involved in the case. Explain that to me.
Well, I can get into the specific examples of what she said if that's helpful. I don't know if you want to go in chronological order or just if you want to focus on this topic, we can focus on this topic, whatever you prefer.
No, I mean, go in chronological order. That's fine.
Okay. Well, then I guess you just got into sort of how we met and how our friendship developed. Do you want to feel free to ask anything about the marriage or the time immediately after the murder if we want to stay kind of chronological?
Yeah, why don't we, whatever enables you to tell the story, I guess, that you need to tell in this environment. I mean, you've been in my shoes before, so I'm interested in what you have to say, not what I have to ask.
Okay. So after Dan was murdered, and I was aware that it was a highly contentious divorce, she did email me some of the motions that Dan had filed. She talked a lot about how difficult Dan was to be married to, and even worse, to be divorced from. I remember Wendi calling me the day that Dan was murdered and telling me that she just had, you know, Dan has been shot. We don't think he's going to make it. I just had the worst moments of my life telling the boys they don't have a father anymore. Like, and when that news hit, I was so,
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there for a moment. You blipped out on me. If I can,
yeah, go ahead, go back.
yeah, just back up a little bit. So she's had the worst day of her life, and then go ahead.
Oh, I was just extremely shocked, shaken, terrified. I felt, you know, deeply disturbed by what had happened. And so she came to Miami a couple of days later and asked my ex husband and I to come to her parents' condo to kind of just give her a hug, give her support, sit there with her while she, grieves and processes everything. And so we did. So a few days after the murder, we were at, I don't know the name, one of the big condo buildings on South Beach, just talking to her, hugging her, sitting with her.
Who is your ex, if I can ask?
Sure. His name is Kiar, Kiar. Last name is Holland, like the country.
Okay. Contact info?
I don't have it. We have not had any communication since 2016. I don't think he's a hard person to find. He lived in Plantation for some time.
Okay.
Plantation, Florida. But I haven't been in touch with him since 2016. So I don't have anything updated for you. Sorry.
Okay, so the two of you went over to the condo and carry on.
Yeah. And she was crying and devastated and shaking, and her mind was going in all sorts of directions, which I think is understandable when somebody has been in her situation. But one thing that she kept repeating was, I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. And
Wendi kept repeating this.
yes, she did. And I, at the time, was a public defender. I was I think I might have been a senior or a trainer, but I was handling with my mentor a case involving a wrongful conviction. And that was where most of my mental energy was going at the time, was that wrongful conviction. So I thought at the time that Wendi was referring to the possibility of a wrongful conviction.
Wrongful conviction. So what she's saying, I'm going to prison. Sorry.
Meaning that, you know, she's a natural suspect as the ex wife, and she's afraid of things going awry and, her not getting fair process and people suspecting and ultimately like her getting wrongfully convicted of this murder. That's what I thought. I thought people would suspect her, information. She was afraid that information would be wrongfully pieced together, especially with her and Dan's acrimonious history, right? I thought that that's what she was sort of alluding to. And
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, you're telling the story as if you were looking at it in hindsight. Now you're looking at it as if you drew the incorrect conclusions at the time. But that was the conclusion you drew back then when she says, I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. It's because she's obviously going to be a suspect because she's the ex. And then there's been an acrimonious or contentious relationship. But so you draw the conclusion. What else happens? Carry on. What other?
during that conversation, my ex husband, who is Black, sort of kept responding to her like, Wendi, do you even know how white you are? Like, it's not happening. And so, and that is just kind of the way he would sometimes like joke. And, that was a point he sometimes made. So he was trying to reassure her that it's not happening with your demographics.
Okay. And then does that meeting come to an end, or is there another chronological circumstance?
I don't have any other like specific memories from that meeting.
Okay.
So we can go to the next thing in what I think is chronological order. I'm just doing my best to keep it in chronological order for you. Soon after that, Wendy's eldest son has a birthday party, and my ex husband and I are invited. She invited a lot of her friends, and it was at her parents' condo, and she invited a lot of her friends. We all brought presents. We all knew that this child had just lost their father, his father. And, you know, everybody brought like a Lego kit for him and, tried to make it a good day for him.
Thinking this is in 2014 or 2015, 16?
It was shortly after the murder. It was so the murder was in 14.
Correct.
It was in 14. Yes, it was 14. It was like
Okay.
probably end of July or early or August. I don't know when the birthday was, but it was summer. And this is the only information I have about Donna Adelson. But at some point, I went to the kitchen and the kitchen area. It was an open plan condo. And Donna was in the kitchen and it appeared like she had just read something or seen something, I don't know, on her phone, computer, or newspaper or something. But she was already on a topic that I had kind of walked into. And she said, they're talking about him like he was a beloved professor. But you know something? He was a jerk.
That's what you heard Donna say?
Yes,
Okay. Who was she? Who was the audience? Who was she saying that to?
me. She kind of looked up as I walked into the kitchen.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you said that you walked in the midst of what you thought was like a train of thought or a conversation, and then,
I don't think it was a conversation. I think she was reading something or looking at something. Like she might have been reading a newspaper or online or something.
sure.
But I don't think there was another person involved.
Okay. And I mean, did you know Danny Markel?
Yes,
You knew him through Wendi
yes.
by virtue of the marriages?
I mean, I remember when she went on the first date with Danny, she reported back to me about that. So, and I knew Danny when he had, kind of first come to visit her. And
Well, Donna's going to feel comfortable
sure,
interacting with you and sharing her feelings about circumstances because you had a long involvement in family and relationships.
yeah. And, and, I didn't know.
So her looking up and saying that to you, I guess what's abnormal about or strange about it?
To me, what's abnormal about it is that he had just died. And in most cultures, in most sort of societal expectations, we don't speak ill about the dead, so soon after.
Sure.
So to me, it conveys an outsized and inappropriate anger, considering that he would never bother anyone again. That's my understanding.
So the remark seemed out of place to you from that sense of, do you really say things like that so quickly after somebody has died?
Right. Yes.
Did Donna say, I mean, what was your response to it?
Mm. I don't remember what my response was. I don't think it was much. I mean, I knew that Danny was very, very difficult and confrontational, and that Donna was protective of her child. So I don't think I don't expect that I would have said much, but I don't remember. I don't have a specific memory.
You didn't particularly care for Danny, though, either, did you?
It was really mixed. I didn't particularly care for Danny a lot of the time, but I also could see over the course of all those years that, like, for example, he would do nice things. Like he would, see an article he thought I was I might be interested in, and send it to Wendi to send to me. Like I could see that he was, he had a good heart and that he was like a great dad. But no, I wouldn't have chosen him as a personal friend. I thought that he was really confrontational and high conflict and talked about his own accomplishments much more than he took interest in other people.
Sure. I mean, the difficult thing that I have is I've got the state potentially using you as a witness who says, this kind of caught me off guard that she's not respectful for the dead. But then I've got to be able to explain the context within which it's being said. And she didn't like Danny. She's gone through a terrible divorce with her daughter with Danny, and you live part of that. And I'm not sure that her statement is as meaningful in her being prosecuted for a homicide as it might as it might be. I don't know, but
That part's not up to me. I'm just telling you.
I get that. But so beyond Donna making that comment to you, I guess what else, if anything, did Donna say or do that day?
I have no other testimony related to Donna Adelson that I can offer.
Okay, other than that one comment that Danny wasn't a nice person.
Yes. I mean, the one that I testified to. Yeah.
Okay, but carry us forward then, I guess, with chronologically as it relates to Wendi.
Okay. And I have some information related to Charlie as well.
Please.
So, over the course of the next year, after the homicide, Wendi didn't bring up the homicide very much at all. Myself and other members of our social group were very interested in, I won't say at all. That's probably an exaggeration, but not much. And so on a few occasions, I brought up what's going on with the investigation? What have the police learned? What did they find? Did they find out anything more? And she told me on a few occasions, oh, the police suspect one of his former students. The police suspect somebody related to a case he was working on in New York. The police suspect, I think those were the two. Oh, his new girlfriend's ex-husband. Those were the three scenarios she did present to me as things the police were looking into. And she implied, if not explicitly said, that the information was coming directly from the police and that she was in touch with them. She did forward me an article about they're not finding any leads or whatever, like an article from the Democrat saying that, not much new on this case. So she, one, led me to believe that she was in regular communication with the police.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
Because now you found out or learned what to the contrary?
That she said that she had invoked after giving her statement and never contacted the police again.
Okay, but you felt she was representing to you that she was in communication with law enforcement, and here's the leads that they were following?
Yes.
If she was gaining that information through her counsel and then communicating it or passing it along to you, would that have been the same thing, really, or no? Because the reason I'm asking is all three of those investigations are accurate, and I don't know that they would have been public information. So my question is, I mean, if she had gotten the information from her lawyer and then passed it on to you, even though she was supposed to be quiet.
I don't know the source of her information, but she implied to me that it was with the police.
Okay, and you drew the conclusion that she was not in communication at all, any way, shape, or form.
No, I don't think I drew that conclusion. I learned that she stopped speaking to the police after she gave the statement when she invoked her right to counsel.
Okay.
But when she told me about these investigations, she said, the police think. She didn't say, my lawyer is telling me. And so I feel that she was trying to get me to believe that she was in communication with the police directly, and that these were the leads that they were investigating at the time.
Okay, so
That's what yeah.
okay. So do you know when you realized that or recognized that?
It would have had to have been when trials started happening. So I think that's 2019.
Okay. You said that that wasn't a factor in the relationship coming to an end in 2017.
No, because I didn't realize. I don't think I realized then that she had invoked, but I did believe that she was doing a number of behaviors to protect her family from being held accountable for a murder that, once the probable cause affidavit was released implicating her brother and her mother, that is when I believed that her brother and mother were involved. And after that,
Meaning once you read the probable cause affidavit implicating Donna and Charlie, that's when you developed or adopted the belief that they were involved?
that's right.
Okay. And based on what? I guess what supported, I mean, anyone can believe anything. You can choose to believe whatever it is that you want. But I mean, was it supported by something that had happened or occurred that you observed?
Well, one, I found that, I think if I remember correctly, the probable cause affidavit contained, information about the payment being made and how the payment was made to the hitman. I think it also contained information about, like, speaking in code. I think it also contained information about, like, the bump and behavior after the bump. And so, and then that combined with my personal knowledge of, them, Charlie having a whole lot of money that he liked to throw around, and the family's hatred of Dan, combined with how protective Donna and Charlie are over Wendi, combined with some of my observations about Wendi's behavior, like particularly the statements she made after the murder, but also her, like, what I would characterize as a lack of curiosity about who did it.
Okay. And I kind of interrupted you there, and that brings us full circle back to what we were talking about. You said number one, that she was telling you that when you would ask what's going on with it in your circles, that she had responded by saying, here are the avenues that they're running down. But I had interrupted you there, and there was something else, I think, chronologically that you were going to mention there. I mean, other things, I guess, that made you suspect or disagree or disapprove of Wendi's support of her family.
I mean, let's let's figure out what time we're at, because if we're at sort of the year after but before the probable cause affidavits, I can only say that she was not expressing sort of like stress or curiosity about who did it. And she told me that the police think it's these things. Then after that, around, I would say, a year after the murder, I asked one more time, and she told me, Sarah, most murders are solved within the first 48 hours. And at that point, I was a senior supervising attorney at the public defender's office. I was carrying a caseload of exclusively homicides. And although that's true that most murders are solved within the first 48 hours, I had many cold cases. I had many, 10-year cases, 12-year cases, And I also was really aware that this wasn't most murders, at least from my understanding.
What's the significance of her saying that, most cases are solved within the first 24 hours?
It means to me, I've given up hope that it will be solved.
Okay.
And that felt like she was trying to get me to stop asking about it. She was trying to get me to stop. Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that was the purpose of that statement.
Okay. So advance us forward to anything else that may have been strange about her behavior or.
Sorry, it's a little tricky without questions. But yeah, let me try to go to the next thing. Give me 1 second. Okay. So then, about a year after the homicide, her tone talking about it shifts from I'm in a lot of fear over my safety, my boy's safety. I'm terrified. I'm, I'm like, I feel like a refugee. I feel like my clients, to a tone that I would describe as crass and inappropriate. So, for example, she would say, Danny got whacked.
Okay.
And I thought,
But let me make sure I got the correct understanding. So immediately after the murder, and you said for about a year's period of time, she's actively expressing fear for herself as well as fear for her children.
yes,
Meaning, I do not know who did this. I'm scared that somebody is coming for us too.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And so if we take that out a year, then we're to the point of July of 2015. I'm not suggesting that it for a month, but you said there's a change that happens. Are we at about the right time period, or do you think that it's later or earlier?
No, I think that I think it's around there, but this isn't going to be one of those things I can really pin down because it's not like it happened along with a holiday or along with, a birthday or something.
No. But because it's tone and demeanor and voice inflection and things like that?
Yes, but I'll say after the dust settled and some time passed, the time I think is about a year, her tone shifted.
Okay, but using your phrase, the dust had settled.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So her tone shifts to inappropriate things to.
I thought it was a crude way to speak about the man's death.
No question. Any other examples?
Not that I remember. No, I don't have any other examples.
So it shifts from being scared and protective to, I don't know what's a good verbalization of her overall demeanor then?
I think a little bit crude and crass is how I would describe it. Those are my words.
Okay. But that's based on the one example, the whack.
Uh-huh. And then I believe it was used on more than one occasion, but I definitely remember it on at least one occasion.
That term.
Yes.
Okay. Anything beyond Danny got whacked that, in your view, shifted her behavior or demeanor into a category of being crude and crass?
No, no.
Okay. So that really gets us to, summer of 2015. 2017, you said, was the end of the relationship. Are there?
Yeah. But there were things in between, right? When the probable cause affidavits hit,
Right.
she called me at work and she said, when the arrest, sorry, this is before the probable cause affidavit, but when the first two arrests were made,
Right.
she called me at work and she said, Sarah, I'm shaking. And I said, what's going on? She said, arrests have been made in Danny's murder. And I said, that's wonderful. That's so good. You should, you should be relaxed. You're safe. This is good. And she said, what if my crazy brother Charlie hired a hitman? And I said, that's your problem. And
The probable cause affidavit intimated that as being the case, did it not?
no, I think this is pre the probable cause affidavit containing Charlie and Donna, but right when two arrests had been made. I think that happened before, but the affidavits containing the names of Charlie and Donna happened shortly after that.
So she says to you, what if my brother Charlie hired a hitman?
And I said, that's his problem.
Meaning Charlie's, not hers.
Yeah, right. I did not believe it was in any way possible that Wendi could have been involved in this.
Okay.
So during this conversation, and then she said something about they're asking me to give a statement. And so, and I told her to give a statement. I said, when you gave a statement earlier, it was, it really cleared the air. It helped you to, so that everybody knew that you had nothing to hide and no involvement. And I think you should. You should do that again. Now, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I practiced for many years. I've never given a client the advice to go ahead and give a statement after your.
I was kind of wondering.
I've never done that. I promise you, I have never done that.
Why would you give that advice to your best friend?
Because I thought that she was being sincere. I thought that she would be believed. And I thought that it would clear the air for her in the quickest way possible. And I didn't think that there was a chance that she would be involved in it. And I thought her very best move is to prove in the court of public opinion, not the court of law, public opinion, that she is not involved in this. And so being open and forthcoming, in my mind, was the best way to do that.
So friendship advice, not necessarily legal advice.
I would never give it to a client, but you know this. You only get clients who give statements and the bad thing happens, right? The arrest happens. You don't hear from the people who give a statement and they're absolved of any suspicion, right? That you don't, that doesn't, that case doesn't come on your desk as an attorney because it doesn't become a case. So I believe that she was being sincere and truthful, and that especially with suspicion clouding around her brother, right? That would happen because she was now telling me she suspects her brother or.
Wait a minute. Hang on just a second. Because a moment ago we were talking as if none of this information about Charlie was available.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But when you said suspicion, but when you said when suspicion is clouding around her brother, what suspicion?
From her phrase. So she wouldn't say, "What if my crazy brother Charlie hired a hitman?" if there wasn't some suspicion in her mind that Charlie has something to do with it.
Okay, fair.
Or could, right? I don't know. But I didn't have independent reason to believe that Charlie was involved. She brought it up.
Okay, so
Okay. Do you want to stop there? That's sort of the halfway mark. Is that okay?
sure. Yeah, I know your voice is
Dying
giving
as
you
usual.
trouble. So.
God,
No, it
I'm sorry,
sounds
guys.
fine, but I know you
Oh,
might be
geez, I need
struggling a
to
little.
go buy some of those special
Yeah,
lozenges from the Chinese groceries. So what do you think so far, Gary, as
yeah.
a
I mean,
avid trial watcher and an
right.
attorney?
I had read this a couple of times, but as we were doing it, especially one of the parts we just read, where now the arrests have been made. Clearly, she's upset about the arrests being made, and then she comes out with, "What if my crazy brother Charlie hired a hitman?" And that's another manipulation because I think what she's saying is, she knows that's probably going to come out, and she's kind of telling her friend, what if that happened? But she knows nothing about it. She had nothing to do with it. She's kind of planting that seed. And this is what she seems to be doing all along, very manipulative. So
Yeah. And how long have you been following this case?
how long have I been following it?
Yeah. Yeah. We want
Oh,
to know about you. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think I mentioned the first time we spoke. It goes back to I remember when it happened because it was a FSU law professor, so it was national news right away. And then very early on, I saw probably what was the first special, which was Dateline, and at that time, I don't think the probable cause affidavit had come out. Maybe it had, I don't know, but it was clear from the slant of the show that the Adelsons were involved, but there was no prospect of arresting them. I think Meggs was still the DA, and it just kind of outraged me. So I started following it, closely after that, and it just goes on and on. Obviously everybody's waiting to see what happens with Wendi. I don't know. It's been 3 weeks now. Some people said it would be a week. Some people said by the end of the year. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll just
Well,
wait and see.
yeah. Dave Ehrenberg said probably within 60 days of when Donna was convicted, because it still takes a while to get a grand jury, or could be after Donna is sentenced. So
Yeah,
he said
I thought
95% chance.
yeah, well, he should know. I guess he's been in that position. I thought he might have qualified it after that and said 60 days from the sentencing, but either way, that would be by the end of the year. So hopefully,
Mhm.
hopefully he's right. Um,
Yeah. So what
so
do you think? This is just a wild guess. We don't have insider info.
yeah, it's interesting. We haven't talked about the ISOM interviews, but the most recent video, uh, I guess mentor lawyer, he decided not to put in a part where he asked Isom a question and Isom didn't answer it. And then they spoke afterwards, and Isom said, why did you leave that out?" And he said, "Well, because you didn't want to answer the question." He said, "No, you should put it in." So the question was, do you think they have more information on Wendi than what's been revealed? And he didn't want to answer that. So the implication is the answer is yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's
Why would he
interesting.
tip her off? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. People, I guess there was a lot of criticism. People thought he was too easy on her and he wasn't, but he's just saying what happened. And I give him a lot of credit, like other people have, for keeping her talking all that time because a
Yes.
lot of, he did get a lot out of her.
Hmm.
And that's a source of a lot of. She's kind of pinned to a lot of the things she says. She can't. She tries to deny it. I think in Charlie's trial at one point she said, "Well, I don't think the transcript is accurate." And Georgia
Yeah.
said, "Oh boy, oh boy."
Yeah. What a great retort. It's like when you're being cross examined, then you say, well, that transcript is wrong.
Yeah.
What a great retort. Yeah. What a
Yeah, I think
lawyerly thing to say.
she right. She clearly got some coaching in before this trial from John Laurel because I mean she still every other answer was I don't remember, but she was a lot less combative and a lot less inclined to deny the obvious, which made her look terrible. So,
Hmm.
um, one thing
Yeah.
I've been thinking about, and I'm not an expert on evidence and so forth. I'm learning a lot of criminal procedure and evidence through following this. But what the evidence against Wendi will look like? How would without her to testify to bring in those emails, Donna's emails to her? What's the foundation to get those into the case? You're
Hmm.
you're you're a practicing attorney, so maybe
Oh,
you have a
well,
better answer than I would.
it's a statement of the admission of the party, right? Or,
Right,
I could have sworn one of those investigators, I think it was Corbett, like he could just present a bunch of this um, electronic evidence, such as the text back and forth between Charlie and Katie and
right.
Charlie and the others. So, I'm sure it's still fine to bring up all that stuff in Wendy's trial.
Yeah, because
So,
one of the reasons that people talk about for not charging her is that they needed her at each trial to get those Donna emails into the cases. So,
mhm,
I mean, maybe it was more effective to use her to get
yes.
them in, but that there were other means that they could have used.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't just the emails, but also for Wendy to give the whole background of how she met Dan Markel and what happened to their marriage and what happened with the litigation after they split up. So um so somebody wants to know who you are. So do you want to give a quick
Oh,
bio of
yeah,
yourself?
sure. I went to law school at University of Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut, and I practiced business and corporate law, mostly banking, for briefly, and then I went into my family's restaurant business. We have 12 restaurants here in Connecticut, and I kind of took the reins from my father, who's still with us, but he's been retired a long time. So I kind of get my legal fix in a sense from I use my legal knowledge in business, obviously, but you know, I get my legal fix from trial watching. But I've never gotten as into a trial as I have with this. I watch commentators, not you so much. You're very very well versed, but some of the commentators who don't know the case as well, they say something like, "No, that's not right." You know
Yeah,
the
that's
facts of the case if you
frustrating.
just talk about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, have you gone to other trials to be an observer?
Not live. No, I've watched different trials. What streaming coverage of different trials. The big ones that everybody knows, the Jodi Arias, Casey Anthony. But I told you last time about the Vanderbilt rape case. I got kind of interested in that. Three football players wound up. Two went to jail, and one gave evidence and wound up getting a suspended sentence or whatever. I'm trying to think what other. I'll probably watch and follow the Corey Richards case. That one kind of seems interesting. It seems like they have her dead to rights, but I'm curious what her defense will be. Hopefully, better than Donna's.
Mhm. Was she the one who poisoned her husband?
Yeah, she gave him a cocktail, and it was laced with fentanyl. And they have proof that she bought the fentanyl, and there was disagreement. She was renovating and flipping houses for big numbers, like six and seven figure numbers.
Mhm.
And her husband and her were disagreeing on a particular deal, and she was also like uh, kind of running their finances into the ground, supposedly without his knowledge. And so at some point, she gave him this drink laced with fentanyl, and it killed him. And she also wrote. She tried to coach her mother and possibly other people from jail to say certain things to help her. So there's a few parallels
Oh,
with
wow.
doing
And
this
she
case.
wrote that book about grieving, right?
That's
For
right. Yeah,
children.
that was.
So
I think
weird.
that aspect of it really caught the media's attention because it was so perverse. You know that she would write a book for kids about grief, and she's the one who caused the grief.
Yeah. Sort of seems like Wendy because she liked to give speeches and talk about saving these like poor children and immigrants and human trafficking victims and how much empathy she has for people. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
I guess I kind of want to read more on the psychology of these narcissists and so forth, but they, I, heard some commentary or read somewhere that's one of the characteristics. They want everybody to see them as saving the world. But
Yeah.
when that's not really what their motivation is.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, getting back to your restaurant business, there were some people who wanted to know what's the restaurant and are you in
Yeah,
Fairfield
I don't know.
County?
Yeah, sure. Why not plug the restaurants? That's not why I'm here, but I'll be happy to
Yeah,
do
tell
that.
us about it. Sounds
Well,
interesting.
they're called Duchess, Duchess,
Mhm.
and it's basically a fast food operation with a drive-through window, but we make everything fresh. Like we cut our own chicken nuggets and bread them, that kind of thing. We
Mhm.
we have a very my father and his partners, or particularly his partners back in the day, owned a lot of diners. So they kind of took some of the elements of the diner menu, like pastrami and things like that, and put them on, made them part of the fast food chain's menu.
Mhm.
So yeah, we've had a really good following. The first one opened in the 1950s.
Wow.
So we've kept it going a long time. It's not easy in this environment where everything is costing so much, but we've seen so many big chains come through Connecticut and last a few years and leave. So it's like a badge of honor that we're still here after 70 years now. I think next year will be the 70th anniversary.
That's great. Congratulations. It is
That's,
really hard to survive in the restaurant industry.
yeah, and basically everything is. We've seen just about everything. COVID was interesting. That actually ironically helped our business because we had drive through and kind of Uber Eats and DoorDash and those things had just kind of come along and those really exploded. And all of the dining rooms in Connecticut were closed. Uh,
Mhm.
so we did a great bit drive-through business and tremendous amount of delivery. So it was actually, I wouldn't want to go through it again for under any circumstances, but business-wise, it was surprisingly it helped our business, which is
Mhm.
a little bit bizarre. But
Oh,
again, I just for personal reasons and all of the tragedy surrounding it, I never want to see it again. Hopefully, it won't be for another 100 years, like the lapse between the Spanish flu and the COVID. So
yeah. Maybe it was because you guys have drive-throughs. So during
yeah,
COVID,
that
people
was
like drive-throughs. Yeah.
yeah, drive-through was huge, and now since COVID has been over, the dining rooms are not. The drive-through is going constantly. The dining rooms are never as busy as they were
Oh,
pre-COVID. Um,
yeah.
Delivery is busier and drive-through is busier, so that's kind of business has kind of shifted.
Hmm.
So
Well,
we just adapt to that.
oh, that's great. Well, yeah, that's probably good in terms of legal liability because the fewer customers you have going inside, the less opportunity for slip and fall and some
Yeah, those
accusations
are.
or something.
Yeah, we get our share of those. We actually had one that went to trial. It was a woman who came all the time. She was in one particular restaurant several times a week, and she was dressed to the nines kind of person, very like involved in her church and all of that. And she one day she stepped on the curb and she had high heels like 6 inches
Uh-huh.
high, and she fell and hurt her knee supposedly. So the insurance company, a lot of times they'll just settle because they want to get rid of the case, and they feel the defendant's sympathetic or the plaintiff is sympathetic or whatever. So this particular woman, they offered her, a few $1,000s, and she said no, she wanted more. And the insurance company said no, so it went to trial, and the manager testified, I testified, and then at some point she made a statement about that opened the door to asking about insurance, and it turned out she had a workers' comp claim going for the same injury.
Oh,
So, right. So,
jeez.
so the jury went out and they had one question for the judge, which shows like not all juries are as bright as the Donna Adelson jury. They asked, can we give her money even if we don't think it was Duchess's fault? so, so the judge, of course, said no. And 10 minutes later, they came back with a defendant's verdict.
Mm-hmm.
And then the woman
Right.
continued. She continued to come in after that. I haven't seen her in a while. This is probably 15 to 20 years ago now.
Oh,
But
geez.
after that, she made the news because she was arrested for embezzling from her company that she worked for. So yeah,
Oh, what? How
I could,
awful. She seems like a
yeah,
Charlie Adelson type of person, filing lawsuits left and right, trying to
yeah. Well, she
take
was one of
down.
those very, very, very involved in her church and so forth, and wore that on her sleeve, but really not a good person. Which sadly, you
Mhm.
see that probably too much. A lot of
Yeah.
times, those are some are a lot of people are sincere, of course, but you get people like that too.
Yeah. Well, getting back to the Corey Fritchens case, when is that trial?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
I
we'll
have to
look it
think
up.
it's on the horizon because she's been locked up for a while, waiting for trial, and doesn't seem to me like the issues are terribly complicated. But
Hmm.
I guess every
Okay.
state has its. Like in Connecticut, it takes about 3 years to get to a criminal trial, but Florida's a lot faster, it seems. But I don't know what it's like out where she is.
Hmm. Okay, I'll look into it because multiple people are telling us to cover that. So I'm always looking forward to other cases to try to cover. So yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so what did you think of the ISOM interviews with Mentor Lawyer?
yeah. There were just a lot of little details filled in, and it seemed like he did. He did. His objective was to keep her talking. A lot of people thought, he was buying what she was putting down, but more he wanted to not get confrontational, keep her talking, and he was. I think from that standpoint, he did a great job. And it was interesting too that he said he did try to get in touch with Wendi again. She said on the stand that she was on the phone with him and it broke up, and then he never followed up. And he said that's not true. I did try to follow up and spoke with her lawyer, who was the same one who was handling the litigation with Dan at the end.
Hmm.
And the lawyer asked her, is she a suspect? And Isom said it's starting to go in that direction. And then he said, okay, well, I'll get back to you. And he never did.
Hmm.
Uh, so
Okay.
I guess there's a new video with the whole thing from start to finish. So I'll probably sit down and watch that one more time to kind of get it all clear in my mind.
Yeah, same here. I feel like I should watch it again so I can absorb more. Like earlier
Right.
today, I was just watching another snippet of the ISOM interview. This is on Deep Dive True Crime. So you guys please support that channel. But what I thought was interesting was that the information about Donna and Harvey from the probable cause affidavits is different from what Isom said during these recent interviews. Because from the probable cause affidavits, I got the impression that Donna and Harvey talked with Isom at Dan's memorial service that Sunday, and they said they would talk with him the next day on Monday. And so then, of course, they never showed up or contacted him again the next day.
That's
But
what I thought too.
yeah, but then Isom said something totally different. He made it sound like Donna was kind of trying to dodge the question. Like she didn't even really want to talk to him first. And she kept making excuses like, oh, we're so busy. We're so busy with the kids and stuff. And so it's more like she was non-committal about
Right. And then
talking
she was
with
kind of
him.
calling Harvey over. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
so there's a lot more flavor from hearing all of this directly from Isom. So, but like I said, I watched each one individually, but you kind of, I think it would be better to sit down and watch them all the one video with all of them together.
yeah, totally. So it's great to still have more things to learn and these interesting interviews coming forth. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about those jurors who spoke out?
Well, they were both impressive. We talked a little bit about that last time. They all seem to take the whole thing very seriously. Not to talk about the case and they spent a lot of time trying to make sure they followed the instructions, and all three were like very intelligent, very committed to the process. So the judge came out with his denial of the motion for a new trial, and
Yeah.
you know, he pretty much said as much. There's no basis to interview either one of the two that they wanted to interview.
Hmm. That's right.
We
Yeah.
want to leave that for Jeremy Mutz tomorrow, though.
Yeah, that's for tomorrow, 5:30,
Right.
legal analysis with Jeremy Mutz, because he actually practices criminal defense in Florida. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I do want to address this is a great question because multiple people were concerned that perhaps the interview with Isom meant that they're not going to charge Wendi. And James, mentor lawyer, specifically said on one of his live streams or videos that is totally not the impression that people should get. So
Right.
I don't think Isom said anything that could potentially, harm the prosecution of Wendi. And I think it's great that he was willing to speak on camera.
Yeah. No, it's obviously he was another person with who saw the whole thing unfold in real time, and has a lot of details that you don't ordinarily get. So yeah, it was. In fact, I'm going to see how much of it I can get through tonight of that latest video with the whole thing together.
Yeah. What is a QSR marker? Do you know that?
A QSR marker.
Does that have
No, I don't
something
know.
to do with restaurants? I don't know. Sorry.
Well, and I know there's like those square codes where you scan. Like if you want to download our app, we have signage and so forth, like where you can scan one of these codes and get to our ordering app. But I don't know if that's what they're referring to.
Okay, not sure. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm happy. Isom kept her talking for so long, and she said a lot of stupid stuff during that police
Yeah,
interview. For example, the comment about that would be a real game changer after the
yeah,
victim's advocate reminds her, well, wait a second, he hasn't even died yet. And after a couple of sentences, that's where she said that would be a game changer. I'm like,
Yeah.
who says that?
Yeah.
You'd think you'd be like, oh, really? Is there any hope he's going to live? Maybe I should go to the hospital, or let's try to find his parents to let them know. I mean,
Right,
it's
right.
just
No,
so bizarre.
kind of the same reaction as in the deposition we just read when she called Sarah about the arrest. She wasn't happy.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like, wow, this is great. They finally found them. And I wonder why they killed Dan. Like, who are these people? So yeah, Isom was snowed by Wendi. Otherwise, he would not have. Yeah, I agree with this that he probably shouldn't have told her at the beginning that we don't think he's going to make it. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I felt like he was still a little bit too dismissive of Jeff Lacasse during this latest interview, where he
Right.
sort of just poo pooed the setup idea. I'm like, give Jeff more respect. You know, he just
Yeah,
had
I
this
mean,
weird
there's like
attitude
the guy takes 2 trips out of town, and both times the hitmen are there. Plus all of the other. I
with
don't know
a
about
similar vehicle. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, like they feel bad for all of these people. They can't, this 11 years later, they're still they're coming back and reliving this whole thing, and it's great that they're committed to doing it.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, JJ Ton is saying that he or she did fast food marketing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's always a challenge. QSR is quick serve restaurant. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's always a challenge to get the message out, especially about the freshness and the variety. Because there's just so many. Like we have a restaurant right in this town that's been there since 1989, and when we opened on that particular road, there was Burger King across the street, and that was it. Now there's Wendy's, there's Five Guys, there's Chili's, there's the Longhorn Steakhouse, there's uh, Panera Bread. Chick-fil-A just came. We withstanded that
Qdoba.
pretty well.
Yeah. Do you guys have Chipotle and Qdoba in your
Chipotle,
state?
yeah, Chipotle that you see quite a bit. The other one I've heard of, but I don't know if we have that or not.
Yeah. There's so many options. Do you guys come up with seasonal specialties or new products to try to spice things
Yeah,
up?
yeah. Somebody's always looking for something new. The only place where we're, I kind of have a fear that of taking something off the menu that some person might have been coming for 30 years and they're
Yes.
having, even though we don't sell a lot of it, and we kind of keep, whereas the others, the big chains they'll have it limited time only, and then it goes away. And we started doing a little more of that because you keep adding and adding and adding. It kind of gets a little crazy to have such a big menu, but people, we're known for that because, and even things that we have on the menu, if we don't have something on the menu and we can make it, we'll do that too. So I
Mhm.
always think I've seen all the special requests that there are, but someone comes up with something new
Yeah.
all the
Okay.
time.
You must have Wendy's in
Oh
Connecticut,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Wendy's does pretty well here. Yeah,
Yeah. But not with an I. Did you see that
yeah.
video of Charlie scarfing down his Wendy's Biggie meal?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of seek out all those videos. There's video now of Donna being transported from the court after the trial back to the jail. I don't know if you've seen that, and
Yes.
she's not in good shape at all. But just a kid, it kind of got worse than it was in the courtroom. It seemed like.
Oh, okay. I gotta seek that out. That's from Justice Serve TV, right?
Yeah, is
Because
that the Linda Kenny Bodden and the I don't know the
yeah,
other
there's a
gentleman's name.
man and a woman. Yeah, I have to find that because I did do a little short clip of their transport video from Leon County Jail to court before the day of the guilty verdict. But I'm sure it's more exciting to see her right after. the guilty
Yeah,
verdict.
and I guess all reports are she's not doing so hot. She's ranting and raving and
Yes.
about the judge and the jury and the Tallahassee.
Yeah, just like
And,
Charlie. Yeah, Charlie and all
right,
his
and that's the other
rambling.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really clear on the jail phone calls. So somebody, I don't know if it was mentor lawyer or someone else who commented that they have to be evidence in a case for them to be released.
Yeah.
Charlie's were released right away. I don't know that they were going to be evident. Were they released before Donna was arrested or after? I don't remember. They were released pretty quickly.
Yeah, now I can't remember. Yeah, but it's just a certificate. And actually, I did just ask Katie Bogenschutz yesterday about possibility of getting jail phone calls, and she said that a lot of times if there's some ongoing investigation, then those calls are not going to be released. So that makes sense. Let's hope that it's because they're still planning to arrest Wendi. So that's why they're not going to release all these calls yet. Yeah, but I'm on it though because I'm trying to get more info. So yeah, I know that was a joke, but that was funny. So thank you.
There'll be a lot of gems in the calls when they come out. So
yeah, it's going to be great. We'll have to do more reenactments and stuff. So it's great to have you on board to help me read things too.
Oh yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's my pleasure. It's some kind of giving back to all these channels that have educated me so much. So
yeah, who is Robert Forster? Do you know?
He was an actor who he was in a movie where he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. It was a Quentin Tarantino movie. Was it Foxy Brown? Was that the name of the movie?
Oh,
and then he was the last role that I know of that he had was in Breaking Bad. He was the guy who helped people disappear. I don't know if you watched that show, but
no.
He had a part in it. At the end, he helps the Walter White and Saul Goodman disappear. For a lot of money, he'll help you permanently disappear.
Oh.
So, but then he passed away shortly after that. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you for being here. I guess I probably should get going and pay attention to my real work and stuff. So, but really appreciate your time and willingness to help read. Hopefully my voice will be better next time. So we'll be in touch so we can schedule part 2 then. Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, everybody. That's for Tan. Take care. See you tomorrow, hopefully on